With Sony finally working on PC compatibility for PSVR2, would it be wise for them to port their first-party exclusive VR games to Steam as well? I can definitely see a reworked version of Astrobot Rescue Mission being popular. Well, Alex, I'd like to see a PSVR2 version of Astrobot Rescue Mission.
Yeah, before that even.
before the Steam version. But what do you make of this concept of PC ports of their existing games?
I mean, it would maybe fall into their new strategy of branching out more onto PC in general, since they are seeing stagnation in the amount of growth from the console side of things, and also PSVR2 has probably not been super successful. So that's why they're doing this in the first place. I think it makes a lot of sense marketing wise, but in terms of porting, a lot of these games, especially those built for PSVR1, were built just like wholly with that in mind. So some of them would require larger retooling, especially anything that used Move controllers, which I don't think Astrobot does use, if I recall, right? That's just a pure controller game, right? Like a normal.
Yes.
They'd have to
PS4.
adapt to the. I mean, the existing VR controllers should, in theory, be able to do anything Move could do.
Yeah, and better. I think, yeah, and like some of them, yeah. I mean, I just think it's just retooling, and I don't know how much return they get on that.
I think that's the key point. Are they actually going to make money by doing this?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't really speak to that. I think something like Astrobot sold on a Meta, like the original Astrobot PS4 game sold for like a Meta system, could maybe do really, really well. Standalone, just works with the headset and no PC itself. I think that'd be really, really maybe sensible thing to do. But for just PC VR, I have not enough insight there to say whether it'd be worth it.
Oliver, thoughts?
Yeah, I think the fundamental problem is that it seems like PC VR is not super popular at the moment, and the most popular VR platform is the MetaQuest devices, specifically the MetaQuest 2 and 3, which share kind of a lot of compatible games between them. So I think that would be the move. And at the same time, I do think that Sony is a little bit more or less divesting their PSVR2 business from what I can see. Like, they're not launching big games for it.
Well,
and
they're divesting in people.
Yeah.
Well,
oh my God,
well,
yeah.
Unfortunately. So I think there is not as much value for them to have exclusives on their hardware. But I think there's also some complications here, some slight complications, because if you play Astrobot, the controller, the PS4 controller, the DualShock, is very much a part of the game. Like, it's integrated in the game and it's tracked with the camera and whatnot, and it's present in the game, and the little characters come out of the controller. So it would have to be redesigned a fair bit, I can imagine, for an Xbox pad, right? It also would need to have motion tracking for the controller, which is not really a common function for these VR headsets, to my knowledge, for actual gamepad style controllers, right?
Right.
Yeah, I can see that. I think the concept though is more that the existing lineup of PSVR2 games would be transferred across to PC. In which case, Sony would be wanting you to play it on a PSVR2. In which case, you've got the hardware.
Yeah, of course.
And if not, the Oculus Touch controllers would probably do the job just as well. I think you hit the nail on the head by saying that the key area to actually launch these games on would be the MetaQuest, which probably would be a step too far for Sony. I'm just kind of curious as to why this thing actually launched in the first place. Because let's go back to, the early doors in the PlayStation 4 era, certainly in PlayStation 3. Sony was producing a really diverse range of games of various scales and, shapes and sizes. And, there was actually a commitment to what you might call the joy of games, which across the generation effectively gave way to, the AAA blockbuster story-driven stuff like The Last of Us. They produce games like that with few exceptions beyond that. So why PlayStation VR2 actually launched at all kind of baffles me, especially since the support going forward has basically been not from Sony, if you see what I mean. It's kind of almost worse than PS Vita in a way, where it's just sort of sent out and they hoped other people would pick up the baton, and it hasn't really happened. So I'm just wondering also the strategy of making this PC support. Now, on the main direct, we've talked about the challenging logistics of actually just getting it to work on a PC. So, yeah, the future of PSVR2, it's kind of up in the air at the moment. Clearly, it hasn't done what they wanted them to do. And it seems that the London studio that they've just shuttered was kind of primarily working on VR experiences.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it all looks like a rapid withdrawal, which ain't
Right.
great.